Hello, hello. Welcome to this webinar of booking clients magically. So, in this webinar of about 45 minutes to an hour, I will be sharing with you how to book clients magically without ads and with 80% conversion rate. Ever since I rebranded, I was booking clients weekly, nonstop, and it has been a joyous, fun, and easy experience, right? And it has not always been like that. It was sheer terror, a lot of fears, and previously a lot of like asking the question: is this going to work? Is this going to work? And constantly, right? So I'm not going to be doing this webinar with any slides. So you'll just be looking at my face for the next 45 minutes to an hour. Okay, we'll see how it goes. But you already have this ebook, which is called Book Clients Magically. So I'm going to refer to this ebook, and the content will be according to the ebook. So you can treat your ebook like your notes, okay? So I'm going to be referring to this every now and then, and the reason is I just want to make sure that whatever topic that I'm going to be covering is as per like the flow and the structure will go according to what I've written. Plus, I will be sharing with you one additional bonus content. All right. Okay. So the other thing before I start is also to let you know that if you are to watch this webinar until the end, I have a special gift for you. And the gift is how do you meditate in the morning to connect with your clients energetically? Now, that is a way of really calling in your clients magically. And you'll find that there is a lot of joy, a lot of synchronicities, just a lot of like everything flows when you start with that. All right. And the bonus content, I'm going to share that with you shortly. All right. But before I do that, let me give you a little bit about my background. I'm Melissa Sim, and I have been in the IT line, information technology, for 30 years, in corporate for 30 years. And 7 years ago, I had this calling to go into coaching. And in fact, I heard a very distinct prompting that goes like, go and take a course on style coaching to be specific. And I was like, what? Why? I'm in a technical line. Like that totally is so different. But anyway, the prompting got really, really strong, and I did that anyway. So I went and took up a style coaching certification. I enjoyed it, but I didn't do anything because, again, I was fearful. I was really afraid to like step into entrepreneurship because all this while I have been in corporate and just a corporate person, getting a salary and making money from, just climbing the corporate ladder. But everything changed in 2016 when my father passed away. I had this wake up call and just suddenly, like, I need to do this seriously. Like, I need to go into my life purpose, really step into my calling seriously. And that's when I decided to engage a personal one to one coach as well to really get me to start my to start my business coaching online because in the past I had no idea how to do it. Like I was taking a lot of like group programs and online programs, and I was just trying to figure it out myself. And if you were reading the ebook, you'd know that I tried and it didn't quite work. Like my first Facebook ad was a disaster. I spent money for 2 weeks. I had nobody even opting into my so-called squeeze page and opt-in page. But that all changed when I had, a proper coach and I had lots and lots of opt-in, right? I had like 1,600 opt-in in the first 3 months. I spent about maybe $1,200 USD. But the bad news is I didn't really get that many clients from there. And the reason I mean, as I look back now, is because it was really a just one way kind of conversation when you're doing email autoresponder. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be doing that, but what I'm saying is that isn't enough. Like if you are already doing like your normal Facebook ads and your email autoresponder, you will know that it isn't really working, right? Which is why you're in this webinar. And so I have discovered, right, all the bits and pieces to make it work. And I'm going to be sharing with you in this webinar, like what works and what you can implement for yourself to really make a rocking business, to really transform your business to one that is of joy and ease, and not like, is it working? Is it working? Like, is it working? Is it working? That was me, right? So if you are having that running in your mind, I know exactly how you feel. Okay, so I'm going to share with you a little bit about what happened in my transformation. The first thing that happened was, and which is really crucial, right? We all have limiting beliefs. And as business owners, especially when we are coming online, is the first thing that we're doing. It's almost like, when you get married, when you have a kid, and when you start a business, it's tremendous personal development. And normally things that you don't even know it's there suddenly surfaced, right? So it was like that for me. And I didn't know that I was in so much fear was because I had my father's story. So my father's story was entrepreneur does not make money. That became my story. And why that is so, because my father was an entrepreneur all his life. He never really made money. He always struggled with money. It was a huge struggle to the extent that most of my life as a child, especially as a teenager, I didn't even have enough food to eat, like seriously. So it affected me very, very deeply. There was so much gripping fear. And I didn't know that that fear was still with me until now, like so many, many years later. And so I'm going to be sharing with you how do you get rid of your limiting beliefs, whatever it is around making money, right? Because as an entrepreneur, one of the things is what's your money story, right? So I want you to, after this webinar, because we don't have time to stop and pause here, I'm just going to continue. But after this webinar, take out a piece of paper and just write down, like, what was the belief around money for your dad? Was it a lack of money? Was it he has always had to work hard for money? How was he disempowered? Like, what was the experience? Like, even for yourself, when you just close your eyes and you go back to the first experience, of your mom and dad, what was it that you remember that was the story that now you have inherited? Like, did your parents fight about money? Was there something that you wanted to buy and your mother or your father was actually saying no because da da da, and were you upset? Like, all these are triggers from your childhood, as young as like, for as long as you can remember. It can be 3-year old, it can be 4-year old. Anything that you remember deep into your system, and you connect with yourself in a quiet space. Like, give yourself a quiet space where you can just sit down for the next 10 to 20 minutes or so to write down everything that comes up. Sorry. And so with that, you end it with saying, this is your story, Dad, but it isn't mine, and I'm giving it back to you. And if it was your mom, do the same thing and said, this was your story, mom, but it wasn't mine, and I'm giving it back to you, right? So that was my experience. I actually got a deja vu when I realized that it was really my father's story that was gripping me, that there was so much fear, that it was really paralyzing fear. And if you are undergoing some sort of fear right now and that is paralyzing, I can guarantee you it's because of an incident that has happened in your childhood that has just got stuck in there. And that one of the ways to release it is to actually go back, revisit when it happened, what was the belief, write it down, and then energetically said, I'm going to give it back to you. Okay? And that will really release you so that you can move forward. The next thing was that has really been life transformational for me was when I looked deep into who I am meant to serve. Now, I know if you have been a coach for a while, that this question is going to come like probably you're really familiar with it, like whom am I meant to serve? But really, it's so important because when I first started out, I thought that the people that I was meant to serve, because I was in corporate, was that I should just serve people in corporate because that was my experience. And I even had a group, and that group was up level your career in 90 days, right? And I talk about sales and I talk about how to get your dream job. So I want to let you know that just because it is something that you know how to do, just because it is your background, does not necessarily mean that is what you're called to do. And that was what it was for me. And when I dig really deeper in, I realized that what I'm really, really called to do, which was that 7 years ago, I had this calling to be a coach. I resisted it. The bigger message was stepping into your soul aligned purpose. The bigger message was stepping into your soul aligned purpose as an entrepreneur, helping people to make a difference. For you yourself to make a difference because you are on purpose, and helping to transform lives and change the world, which essentially was really, really my message. Like, I want to transform lives, I want to change the world. And deep within me, I didn't think that I would be able to do that by telling people how to climb the corporate ladder. Really. That's just, to me, now at this place, I find that that's superficial for me. So I'm all out for entrepreneurship. I'm all out for not just entrepreneurship, but soul aligned entrepreneurship, where you are out there because you want to make a difference, you want to impact the world, you want to transform lives. And I want to help you because by helping you impact the world and transform lives, like that is part of my calling. I want to impact the world. And if I'm helping coaches and consultants and entrepreneurs like yourself impact the world and transform lives, then really it is something that, like I'm meeting my calling, and it's really exciting to be doing that. Okay? So, how do you know that it is really, really your calling? Just give me a moment. I just need to take a sip of water. So you would know it's really, really your calling. So that's just litmus test. That's really easy. Just imagine yourself standing in a stage of, say, a couple of hundred people, and then tell them in a 5-minute speech what you're doing. Like, okay, if you are a business coach, just go out there and say, hey, I am so and so, and I'm a business coach, and I help people to blah, 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 right? And when you do that, just feel it in your whole body. Like, feel it within yourself. Does that feel good? Or does it feel like, ugh, I don't really feel that good. I feel a little icky. That's not really me. And I can tell you that when I was doing that, like I was trying to imagine myself like standing up there and going like, hey, so what do I call myself? Like career coach? And I'm like, no, but I don't want to be a career coach, right? So really it's what you are called to do, what you're aligned with. No, I'm not saying that if you're a career coach, that's bad, right? It's just me. So you have your calling, you have your way to transform lives and to transform the world. And if being a career coach is what really jives with you, then go for it. If being a energy healer jives with you, then go for it, right? So for me, my real calling is really being a business coach. And not just any business coach, but a business coach that, like put in the things like mindset and the funnel and every other thing. And I'm a big believer in energy and magic. So I put all that in together, right? To help, my clients to transform their lives so that they can transform lives for their clients, right? Like just right now, I'm talking to you and I'm really hoping that I can help you so that you can help others. Okay, the next thing is on message clarity. So once you already know and know and know and know that whom you're meant to serve, then the next thing is really get your message out there. Now, it's not good enough to say, hey, I am let's say a career coach. Okay, great. So what do you do as a career coach, right? So you need to be able to articulate your message so that it speaks to your ideal clients. And that is very, very important. I speak about that and I speak about the importance of having that message clarity throughout your entire funnel and most importantly in your website. All right. So a lot of people are saying like website are not important. I beg to differ. It is crucial, it is important, and you must get your website done. It's an on-brand client attraction website. So if you are already signed up for my ebook, I actually give you a free copy of my on-brand client attraction website toolkit, right? And there is a training in my Facebook group called Soul Aligned Entrepreneurship. If you're not in there yet, go join it. It's free. It's called Soul Aligned Entrepreneurship. It's in your email sequence. There is a toolkit and there is a short training on it in my Facebook group. Now, it's important for you to really get your on-brand client attraction website up. The reason is because when your clients come into you, right, they check you out. How do they check you out? They go to your website. Now, I'm not saying that the opt-in page or the squeeze page is not important. But if you don't have a website, like, okay, they see the squeeze page and they go in and, yeah, you're on email autoresponder and so forth, but where is the place, like, before they decide to get into to give you their email, right? They kind of like maybe see your post in some social media and they want to check you out. So where is the best place to have all that information about you? Now, it's not just information. You need to speak to your client, which is why copywriting is important and your message clarity is super, super important. So your message clarity has to speak to your client. It's got to use their pain words, their pain points. You've got to have a message, a one-liner that depicts the pain island and the pleasure island, right? You need to talk about what's their pain, and what is the result you get them, which is the pleasure island. Don't go into a lot of the process. Don't talk about, we're going to write this boat and it's going to take 10 hours. And in the boat, I'm going to serve you some refreshment. Like, no one is interested in that, right? So imagine now if you're taking a boat and you are going into, you want to go to your destination, right? You are interested in the destination. Like if you are planning to go to Hawaii, um, you're interested, you're excited about Hawaii. So it's the same thing with speaking to your ideal clients. Like if you are promising for your client to lose 10 kilogram, right, in a month. I don't know whether that's possible, but I'm just making it up, right? So, and you say, hey, that's possible, lose 10K in a month. Now, that is the pleasure island. If I want to lose 10K and I hear that I can lose 10K in a month, like, yay. And then you go like, lose 10K in a month without starving. Like, wow, now that's interesting, right? So it's the same thing like when you see book clients magically. Book clients magically at an 80% conversion rate without ads. Now, wow, that's interesting. That's attention grabbing. So you need to know what the pain points your clients are facing and use the pain words, which means you need to really understand your clients before you can write those copy. So I would suggest if you don't know yet how to write the copy, do some research and then find out what are the pain points and what are the pleasure points that your clients wants to achieve, right? So it's got to be really, really punchy. And the other thing that if you notice, if you go into my website, melissasim.me, M-E, you will find that I have big bold words like capitalized in yellow and pink. Now those are the client attraction copy. So make sure that you put your client attraction copy in big bold um, colors so that it attracts the eyes. And if I read it and if I like what you're saying, I want to read more because no one has the time to read into all your little like lines everywhere. They need to know what is it that I'm looking for, right? So now people don't have time. So in essence, it's so important that your copy really attracts your ideal clients and make it bold, make it in a nice flashy color. They read it, they're like, okay, I want to read more. Like that's what you want to achieve. Okay? So that's the point, and I've given some examples in my ebook, and you can refer to that. Now, this is the part that is really interesting. The mindset and a little bit of woo-woo. I call that sprinkle of magic. So I do this every morning. I have a little morning meditation ritual that I do in the morning to connect with my clients, right? And how I do that is I basically call in the light and then I fill myself up with light and then I expand the light outwards to the whole world, connecting to everyone with love and calling in my ideal clients, right? I do that and it's amazing, right? Um, I don't do that often enough when I first started because I was like in fear mode. But really, if you do this, and especially if you're in fear mode, and then you have your affirmation. Like I give an example of an affirmation that I do myself because I learned from Christy Marie Sheldon. And what she says is, what she teaches is what does it take to close, say example, 20 clients by this month and everything in the way of that, I delete, destroy, and I create. It's powerful, powerful, powerful. You can use other affirmation, right? Like I am closing 20 clients this month and full stop. I am closing 20 clients this month. And it essentially is an affirmation that you need to do to reprogram your mind. So what I would suggest is um, initially, especially if you are currently struggling, I would suggest that you put it into a cuckoo clock, so any clock, anything that chimes every hour, and make sure when it chimes on the hour, repeat your affirmation. Whatever it is that you want to repeat. Like I'm closing blah 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 by this month, and everything in a way of that, I delete, destroy, and uncreate. So that's by Christine Marie Sheldon. But if you just want to make it simple and I go, I am closing 10 clients by this month. Like by just saying that, it lifts the energy. And if you want to say, if you want to add like, I am closing 10 clients this month easily and effortlessly, like that's cool. But repeat it enough, do it every hour, right? And I would suggest every hour when you hear the clock ticking, like ping or whatever, say it 3 times. Now that's going to shift your energy. And plus the morning meditation. So the morning meditation, we are not going to do it now, like I've explained how to do it, but I do have a meditation gift for you. If you stay until the end of the webinar, that gift is going to be sent to you, and you will have that gift and you can do that amazing, amazing meditation in the morning, okay? To connect with your clients. It's really fun. So, I spoke about a lot of inner stuff, like making sure you get rid of your limiting beliefs, making sure that you know that you know and you know that you are really serving whom you're meant to serve, getting your message clarity, like, and then doing this woo-woo thing, yeah, to connect with your ideal client. I'm going to now talk really about a little bit about the marketing. I wouldn't have a lot of time to talk about all the things that I need to teach. That's going to be in my course called Booking Clients Magically, right? It's a 2-month course, which I'm going to be talking about later towards the end. But right now, let me talk to you a little bit about how do I get 80% closure rate. Now, the way to do that is simple. Make sure that you have a client connection first. Email autoresponder, hardly any client connection. So the client connection that you can do is via Facebook and via Instagram. All right. So I mentioned I don't do ads. No, actually I don't. And if I do spend money on ads, it's really very little and very far between. So I do other stuff, right? So one of the things that I do on Instagram, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about how I do that on Instagram. You can also do that on Facebook group. So there is a strategy on Facebook group that you can employ to really grow your presence and get your clients. We will be touching on that during the 8-week course. But for now, I'm going to talk about the Instagram strategy. So how do you grow your Instagram? Well, first of all, one of the things that you can do is make sure when you first start, you do consistent posting. And your posting, I would recommend anything between 3 to 4 times a day. Actually, the statistic is post between 3 to 6 times a day in Instagram. And in Instagram, you can do as many posts as you like. And in fact, the more posts you do in a day, the better it is. So if you have the time to do like every hour, do it. Because that is going to have amazing, amazing results. For me, I do it 4 times a day. So post 4 times a day. What sort of post should you write? It's a combination of the 80-20 rule, 80% value posts and 20% promo posts, right? I hope you know what that means. But anyway, 80% of value posts would be something that you teach, something that you share about yourself. It could be an inspirational quote, or it could be a question that you ask, or you could be offering some free coaching, right? Any of these is totally fine for you to be doing in Instagram. It's just like any other social media, right? There is a combination of posts that you can be actually putting out there. The second thing is, right, just posting isn't going to help because you need to be connecting with your ideal clients. So one of the things you should be doing is grow your following. So one of the things when you grow your following is essentially to follow the followers of people whom are of like that are your ideal clients. So let's say for instance, as a business coach, I will follow the followers of Marie Folio, right? Because my ideal clients are actually there, right? And Marie Folio has a huge following. So I can follow Marie Folio's followers, right? And going there and be active, like do your likes, do your comments. And I think the most important feature of all is, especially in Instagram, is that you create a connection by messaging your clients. So when you message them, you can have something like, hey, so glad and so happy for us to be connecting here. Um, I'm offering my little freebie for you. So what I do is that's what I do. I actually message my potential clients and I said, hey, nice to connect, and I have a little freebie for you. And then not everyone will reply, but for those who reply, that's when the next step I do, I'll go like, hey, why don't you join my Facebook group? All right. So that's how I grow my Facebook group and at the same time have that client connection. So one of the ways that I really grow my group and really grow my clients is when I am creating that connection. I have a fabulous page with a lot of content that is relevant that people could have a look. It's a combination of testimony and all that kind of stuff that I just mentioned. And then I follow people and then I message them. And when they do respond, we will have a conversation. And so that's where I'm saying, like, by the time I am actually speaking to them on, a one-to-one for a what we call the discovery session, it becomes, it's no longer like, who am I speaking to? What do they want to talk about, right? I already know something about them. I go into their page, I have a look, we have a little chat. And so by the time we get onto the phone or I use Zoom, right? So by the time we're on Zoom, it's really a conversation about, hey, what are the stuff that you need to ask so that we can work together? Like it becomes that joyous, really joyous way of doing things. So for me, this is what I believe. 80% marketing and 20% sales, right? So in corporate, pretty much it's the same. 80% marketing, 20% sales. And that's what I'm using now, right? So when you do your social media, when you do your posts, when you're out there, it's really marketing. So if you do your marketing right, the sale will be easy. Oh, I didn't mention in my introduction, so I'm just going to mention it now. So in 30 years in information technology, for the past 6 years, in the last 6 years I was there, I was in marketing and sales. So yeah, these are things that, I already know how to do in corporate. But as I mentioned when I first started, I was so scared that I thought I didn't know how to do anything, right? And now that I'm back into my mojo, so to speak, I am just bringing on, all that I know from my corporate experience and obviously from learning from the various gurus, putting that in, and my own experience, like coming up with this really fantastic, phenomenal booking clients magically because, when you go out there and learn, they're not going to be teaching you this, not in this way. They'll teach you the normal funnel, or they'll teach you like, okay, how to do it on Instagram. But really what you need is a combination of social media, messaging, the mindset, the woo-woo stuff, the branding, the sales conversation, which we'll be talking about, and technology. Yes. So that is where I come in, where I bring all these elements into place for you so that you will have your business working like magic. So, following the guide, my last topic is sales conversation. So, I mentioned quite a lot about sales conversation in a sense that, how I actually have this 80% conversion rate. So, the sales conversation in the past, I used to be really scared, like really, really scared when I first started doing this because I was thinking, like, I mentioned, who am I talking to? Like, oh my God, they're going to say I have to think about it, or they're going to say they have no money, right? And last time when I hear that I have no money, I've got to think about it, like I would cringe. I would literally cringe, and I literally, like, I don't know what to say now. They've got no money, right? And you know what? Now if they tell me they have no money, I'm like, that's okay. You know why? Because I know, and I know, and I know that if you really want to do something, you'll find money for it, right? And so it isn't really about the money, it's about eliciting their desire. Like, do you really, really want to do this? Like, for instance, if I want to do, okay, so really it's about really what you want to do, right? And when a person really wants to do something, money is not the object. Although they may say it, they may go like, oh, I got no money, whatever, right? I literally now just ignore that word. And what I do normally is I will tell my clients to check in. Like, check in. And usually people who are attracted to me are spiritual because I'm spiritual and I'm woo woo and I connect to the light and I'm energy and all that. Um, Plus, I'm also very strategic and, logical minded with left brain. So it's like, I don't know, maybe a funny combination, but yeah, that's me. So, but people who are attracted to me are spiritual, and I always say to them, check in and ask whether you are meant to work with me. Because at the end of the day, that's what really matters, right? So I see like my program as an investment. It is not a cost. It is not like you have to fork out this money and then, it's gone, right? It's an investment in a business, it's an investment in your dream. So that's where I come from. Anyway, sorry, I got distracted. I'm back to client conversation now. So last time I told you I hated discovery calls because I didn't know who was on the call. And it was just like one way thing. And sometimes I get this really like weird people or people who didn't turn up. And I was taught by my coach that one of the ways that I can qualify my clients is to have this lengthy application form. And so when I first started, I really had this really long application form that I asked people to fill. Now I don't do that anymore because of the way that I mentioned, how I get clients in. And I just actually put in, like I'll be talking and chatting to my prospects and I'll go like, hey, if you want to talk, let's chat. And I give them a link called Coffee with Melissa. And Coffee with Melissa is very simple. It has an email, obviously your name, and I have a question that says, what do you want me to know before our time together? Because like the only thing that I really want to know, like there are some information that I would like to know, right? Like when we chat, like what do you want to focus on so that I can be more prepared to serve you better in our conversation together. So that's like how I'm actually doing it. So if you go to my formal site, that it's a little bit longer, but it isn't like super super long with a lot of stuff. Like I don't do that anymore because it's really about having a connection and then going to Zoom to have that further connection, to really like the Zoom conversation is really about, are we fit to work together? And if I sense, even as I get into the call and I'm speaking to you, I can sense the energy. And if it's not the right energy, like it's fine, it's okay, right? And most of the time, as I said, people who are attracted to me, it's because we are already energetically connected. So that makes it just so simple to go into that 80% conversion rate, right? So I was just thinking, like, you may be asking, do I go in depth into that in my course? Yes, absolutely. Like, I would actually have one module just talking about how to energetically connect, how to do the energy stuff, the woo-woo stuff that I practice, and I will share that with you, right? Obviously, even in this free webinar I have already shared with you, and if you stay to the end, you will get that amazing, amazing meditation that you can use for yourself to connect to your clients magically. So I mentioned about funnels and structures as well in my ebook, and funnels and structures is that it needs to be done. I'm assuming that if you're watching this, you already know funnels and structures, and you have been a coach for a while and it's not really working as fun as you would like it to be. And I would like to help you change that. That it can be fun, it can be amazing. There are a lot of pieces I've covered kind of like in this webinar. I'm like hoping to cover at least a high level of all these different pieces that needs to come together. So I do have funnels and structures. It is in my program called the Magical Foundation. So if you are totally new and you have no idea about funnels and structures, the Magical Foundation is where you need to go. You need to go to Magical Foundation because it has the opt-in, the autoresponder, and then you set up your sales page. Like all of that is covered in the entire funnels and structures. It is a huge program. There is a lot of stuff in there. That's why that program takes 6 months, and I take you by the hand. We go through everything, obviously including this how to book clients magically, um, so that you can rock it, right? So that's a different program. But if you are already a coach, you have your funnels in place, you know about structures, you've got your sales page, you've got your opt-in page, then go for Book Clients Magically, which is the 8 weeks course, which is about 2 months. And then we are really going to dive into all the different pieces about how to call in your clients, right? Magically. So the last but not least, I think, yeah, the last is the crucial tech ingredient. So I mentioned to you, I come from information technology. So IT is huge for me. Like to me, I put technology into everything. And being an internet biz, obviously technology is important, right? Otherwise, it's like everything that you do is technology, actually. And thank God right now they're making it so easy, so it's really not that hard anymore. But I know it is still a huge challenge for a lot of people, right? So for me, I normally like it's just norm for me. Like when I get into doing something, I would do a lot of research on the technical background. I would process, ties everything, if there's such a word. Like I make it simple and fast, right? And it doesn't mean less effective. It's just that instead of spending like an hour to do 4 posts, you can spend 20 minutes, right? Like how much time do you save? Like, do you want to slave over all your posts? Obviously not. None of us do. And so these are things that I will teach, of course, in depth in my course. But for now, let me just share with you a very, very cool tip. If you are using Instagram, this is what I do. I go into Instagram, and I basically use an app called Typorama. Typorama is like a fantastic app. The downside is it only works on iPhone. So I have an iPhone, so I use Typorama. So go into Typorama, and in Typorama, you can choose any pictures you like, right? And I downloaded my pictures because I wanted like, my nice looking pictures. And then I just choose the picture in Typorama, and then I will just type in the caption words, like the keywords, right? Like book climbs magically, right? So I'll put it in there. And the good thing about Typorama is the moment you type it, it has all kinds of different fonts for you to choose. So you just need to click. And that's it, it's done. So I save it to my phone, my iPhone, and then I open up Buffer. So I open up Buffer and I actually buffer in my post, right? I buffer in my post, and the reason for using Buffer is because it is just so easy, right? Because Buffer allows you to set the time of your post. Like from Monday to Friday, you can actually set the time, like maybe at 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 6 o'clock. And then you just do up the, once you've got that done, like it's really quick because you've got your picture now, you just type whatever you need to do, save it on your phone, open up Buffer, and then start typing whatever you want to say, right? Your content. And then you just click and it gets buffered in, buffered in, buffered in. So it's really, really simple. And I do my post 5 minutes max. Sometimes it's only 2 to 3 minutes. And because I get ideas all the time, I get downloads all the time with my phone, I was just click, click, boop, buffer another one, click, click, boop, buffer another one. So it isn't even necessary for me to like allocate a separate time for my post, because I'm just doing it on the fly whenever I get ideas, because I can do it so fast. I don't need to be sitting on a computer. I don't need to use Canva and start designing my post and spend at least 15 minutes, right? I hear a lot that people say, it's very fast. Do it on Canva, do it in 15 minutes. And I'm like, that's slow, right? Do it in 5 minutes or less. So that is a very, very simple tip. So essentially, this is the kind of the end of the webinar, and I wanted to share with you right now what is going to bring you to is a page where this page is on book clients magically, right? So that you can actually go in and look at the details, and if you want to work with me, click on the schedule to speak, and I would love, love, love to speak with you, right? Now, before I forget, because you're here at the end of the webinar, you will be getting your book clients magically meditation where you call in your clients, right? I'll be sending that to you. Now, one more thing that I want you to consider when you go and, like, I'm sure by now, if you're watching until now, you're thinking, all right, should I work with her or not? Or it sounds interesting and I would like to work with her, and now it's the money. If you are spending $400 to $500, right, every month on Facebook ads, or even $300, then I would say go and do this program. It's on a part payment. If it's 2 months, it's $500. You will save tons of money from Facebook ads itself just by going into my program. So imagine if you don't have to advertise for the whole year, right? Or even for the next 6 months. You are already saving that money, and you can definitely use that money to sign up for my program, which will allow you to create and grow your business organically in social media, and at the same time book clients effortlessly. So that is one thing that I would like you to consider when going into my program, because at this moment it's an 8-week program, and it's $897 for a one-time payment. For a period of like 2 months, if you do 2-part payment, it's $500, or rather it's $497. It's about there. And it's actually a 8-week program, right? So it's an online course. You will get all your information online. It's supported by 4 one-to-one sessions, which is you get personal one-to-one time with me. I'm suggesting that we meet every 2 weeks so that we can just check in on your progress during the course. And then there is a group call, which is happening once a month, which is middle of the month. So on the 15th of the month, we'll have a group call. And so it's like 2 group calls, 4 one-to-one, private time with me, and your online course. And if we need to add in, like the additional group calls, I totally don't mind. Like I totally okay to like make it like 4 times for the group calls. So we'll see how, like how the group react and what people want, and then we can actually totally do that. You just have to mention that in the group, and then we can just do that and rock it. So will I be creating a separate Facebook group? I might create a separate Facebook group, or we can just use the current group that I have. So the details of that, the details of the logistics of that, once you sign up, like I'll send all the details to you. No worries, right? Over email. Okay. So if you have any question at all, type it in on the right hand side. If you would like to speak to me, you can go to my page now, and then we can schedule a time to speak. You can also connect with me via my Instagram. So my Instagram is at Melissa_Sim. I repeat that again, at Melissa_Sim. And you can connect with me via Facebook. It's Melissa Sim. There is only one Melissa Sim in Facebook, so you will definitely find me, and you can message me, and we could have a chat on either Messenger or Instagram before, like if you just like to have a quick chat, before we get on the call, that's totally fine as well, or if you prefer to email. So there are 3 ways of actually doing that. So I look forward to connecting with you. I really hope that you have enjoyed the webinar. Do give me some comments about how you feel about the webinar and whether it was useful to you. And I hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have enjoyed creating it. So I'll see you and talk to you soon.